Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Victoria Van Huss, and I'm the Senior Director of Programs and Partnerships here at the Olmsted Network. It's my pleasure today to welcome and introduce Daniel Chartier, whose lifelong dedication to Montreal's landscape has helped shape and protect some of the city's most cherished places. This year marks the 150th anniversary of Frederick Law Olmsted's design for Montreal Park. Our president, Sue Breitkoff, was just there this past weekend presenting a resolution and celebrating with our partners on the ground, including Danielle. Danielle brings not only deep expertise on Olmsted's vision, but also decades of experience stewarding and advocating for the mountain itself. We're delighted to have him with us today on his birthday to reflect on Montreal's past, present, and future. We'll end with a Q&A, so please feel free to drop your questions in the chat box throughout the program. Danielle, I'll turn it over to you.
So it's up to me.
Yes, take it
Okay.
away.
My presentation. First, I'm very pleased to talk to you. So many people from Montreal and from the Olmsted Network. It's hard to make a presentation that will be interesting either for people from Montreal and people who know the Montreal very well and people who know Olmsted very well. And I tried to make a good blend of both. So first, Montreal is a Monterregian hill. So we need that Olmsted saw it and want to enhance it. Olmsted and Montreal, citizen engagement to protect more and more of the mountain, of the park and the mountain. I'll make a tour of the park and the mountain to know to let people know more about the mountain and what Olmsted wanted the area, the topographical area he wanted to enhance. I present two of my coup de cœur, the area, new projects I love. So I want to present these two projects. We'll finish with the accessibility to the mountain from around the mountain and in the middle of the mountain. And the challenge actually on the mountain is restoring the glades and Camillien Wood. Finally, the recognition by the Olmsted Network about Montreal. Monterregian Hill. Montreal is one of these little hill in the middle of the plain of the St. Lawrence River. Long ago, it was the sea, and those mountain mounds were, those hills were out of the water, the only area out of the water long ago after the glaciers. There are landmarks in the plain. You can see here these other landmarks in the agriculture. And here is Montreal. We can see Montreal Park is 1/3, 1/4 of the mountain. Olmsted designed the area that was with the highest parts. We can see the cliff, the main cliff of the mountain on that image. Long ago, in the 1850s, 1860s, and 1870s, Montreal was very busy. Its size doubled almost every 20 years. And the city was very rich. Those living at the foothill of the Montreal owned half of the richness of Canada at that time. But people living in the poor area were very sick and many were dying. So they need operation to make the city healthier, moving the cemeteries out of the city on the mountain, moving the hospitals out of the city next to the mountain, creating the huge park, Montreal Park. So the expropriation process begun in around 1872, and it cost the budget of the City of Montreal for a whole year. It's incredible. These guys that bought the land decided to invest the budget of the city for one whole year. Not only they spent a lot of money to acquire the land, but they hired nothing but the best. They hired Frederick Olmsted, who make Central Park. They asked them to recreate kind of a Central Park, but Olmsted didn't want to do that. When he was hired, he said he was conciliate. He conciliate a lot, but after he said no, we need to create to enhance the mountain. But for people in Montreal, I need to explain a little bit about the background of Olmsted. Many people in Montreal are telling, Olmsted did Montreal Park only for the rich. But Olmsted was a fighter against the slavery, and his fight against the slavery changes his mind forever. He wanted the parks to be one of the great assets of cities, like museum, library, theater. These are the place for culture, where people are meeting and defining their quality of life. So Olmsted worked as a very democratic view of the city. Looking at the Montreal Park, he wrote, Olmsted was angry about the way Montreal administration worked with him. He was so angry, he made one of his best book about planning about a park, a scenic park in a city. So he stuck to the great ideas. He's not very detailed about the how to do little things, but the main concern are very clear. Say you should plan for the long term. If you're planning for short term, you're wasting money. You need to plan for the 50 in 50 years or more. He said you should plan your heritage would be, people will be counted by millions in the long term. You should respect the genus loci, the spirit of the place. You have chosen to take a mountain for your park, but in truth, a mountain barely worthy of the name. You would call it a hill if it stood a few miles further away from the broad, flat river valley. It would be wasteful to try to make anything else than a mountain of it. So, the fancies, fashion, affectation, who could be a good idea elsewhere, should have no place on that mountain. Here is the core. You should design and maintain the mountain and the park as a work of art. He didn't talk about the park. He always talk about the mountain. You should design and maintain that precious area as a work of art. You're cheating yourself where you need to manage the park on the principle applicable to works of art. His idea was to accentuate the main characteristic of the park, to have a variety of form and features, to emphasize the difference between the top of the mountain and the bottom of the mountain. So it will be interesting for the people to climb the mountain. And one part of his book was really tough to take some quotations, because during 2 or 3 pages, He talked about having some fresh air, making exercise, how good it would be. But after that, he said, if you just care about fresh air and exercise, you will spill the mountain. You need to touch the soul of the people. You need to create a poetical scenery. That's that it's what that is so interesting in his text on Montreal. And the design build feature should not be seen as an end in themselves, but as a way to support landscape scenery. He talked about that, like these features are the meat and drink of the entertainment is the rock, the soil, and what grow on the soil. And the roads and walks and buildings are knives and forks to fully taste the landscape scenery of the mountain. If you want to look at this book, look at Montreal 1881 on Putnam's, but it was published again by the the papers of Frederick Olmsted on his best writings on public parks, parkways, and park system. And the annotation by Dr. Beveridge and Caroline Hoffman are really, really outstanding. You need to read that book. Montreal, here we see the plan that Olmsted designed. His idea was to incite people coming from the foothill and slowly going up the mountain through the multiple area. Most of these areas were along the cliff, but the glades is kind of the core of the mountain, just before going to the upper fell, where you have all those outstanding views. But that transition between the city, the underfell, the crackfoot, the bracken fell, and then the glades is really interesting. What is really unusual in Montreal is that Montreal versus other Olmsted parks is that Montreal Park is much larger than it was in Olmsted time. It has been enlarged many, many times. We can see in green the expansion. There were only two big chunk of land removed from the park, a three piece of the land. These two parts in the cemetery, Notre-Dame-des-Neiges and Mont-Royal Cemetery, and a little part here in Royal Victoria Hospital land. We'll talk about that area later. This map shows how many transactions to enlarge the park or acquiring some area to create that enlargement. But those enlargements result quite a lot of the pressure made by citizens of Montreal that looked Olmsted book and said, okay, we should take care of that idea of a mountain who is soothing for us, for our soul and our health. So citizens make pressure. This event in 1986, the City of Montreal planned a huge tower in the glade area near the Beaver Lake, the area you in the image in the beginning. So the city was planning that huge tower, and people said no, 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 no. We don't want that white elephant. And this was the creation of Les Amis de la Montagne, the group that is fighting now. It is 40 years now. Is fighting for the mountain all together with Heritage Montreal and Conseil de l'Environnement. But Les Amis are really powerful. And after the citizen movement to ask for more, take care of the mountain carefully, the city of Montreal produced a preliminary plan for the enhancement of Montreal. This book was it was very good, but everything in that book where it's written should, and it's perfect. Where it's said could, it's not good. It was because the civil servants and the politicians didn't agree on the issues. But everywhere in that book where it was written, we should, it was okay. The problem with that book, the understanding of Olmsted design was not good. So I began to work after that on the mountain and to better understand the Olmsted legacy. But in that project, that vision, one of the key idea was to link Montreal Park, which is one of the three summits, with the two other summits, the one with the University of Montreal, one the Oratory Saint Joseph, and in between are the cemeteries, and downtown is the McGill University and General Hospital. But creating a larger area, and it wasn't accepted easily. The institutions saw it as an encroachment on their property. But 20 years after, when the city, many other fights with citizens, the city launched Montreal Protection and Enhancement Plan. In 2019, it was published. And then there was an agreement with the institutions and the whole people to create, to make a project with landscape objective, ecological objective, accessibility objective, cultural objective. So later, the Office de Consultation Publique de Montréal, Public Consultation Office, they make a report about 10 years of consultation, not only about the master plan of Montreal, but about many, many other dozen and dozen and dozen of projects. And the conclusion was Montrealers are really want the best for the mountain. They don't accept to have something half a good idea. They wanted the best for the mountain, and their vision was really clear, and it was always going further and further and further in defining what is the quality. And this is really interesting to see. Citizens are really on the line, and Les Amis are keeping that line to fight. Here is a plan in the landscape Atlas des Paysages, a book about landscape of the mountain. Most of the mountain are on the outer, the slopes around the mountain. And one huge chunk of land is in the middle. It's called the Entremont, the in between the mounds. And this area, you don't feel the city. When you're on the outer flank, the north flank, or the eastern flank, or the southern flank, the southwest flank, we can feel the city. But when you are in the Entremont, you don't feel the city. And this plan is also related to the water management. The inner part and the outer part have a very different way to manage water. Another issue is about accessibility. Finally, people said, okay, we have the Olmsted Carriage Road, but if we create some walkway and a bicycle way around the mountain, it would be great to see all those landscapes. It will slow down the pressure on the park, but from all around, and it would be easier for people living elsewhere than next to the park to get it in the park. They can walk, they can bike to the mountain. Also, there's an issue about ecology. Some parts of the park in the mountain are in very, very good shape in an ecology point of view. And in between, there are places where there should be consolidation and some corridors to link these areas to create a network, an ecological network of quality. Interesting to see that the mosaic of natural area and the mosaic of a landscape is related. If everything is a woodland, no diversity like what Olmsted wanted, it's okay to have wetland, to have marsh, to have prairie. I don't remember, and rocks, and so that we need to have a plan to integrate landscape and ecology. Hereafter, I'll make a tour of the mountain, almost like what Olmsted wanted, coming from the foothill at the eastern part. That area was called Côte Placide. We can see the city. This was an extension of Olmsted Carriage Road to the area. This is also an extension of the carriage road. Here we are in the Jeanne Mance Park, on the other side of l'Avenue du Park Avenue, and the main sculpture. We don't see the street in Jeanne Mance Park. The landscape is done in a way that we don't see that much the cars on Park Street, even if Park Street is too large. Park Avenue is too large. Here we can see people on the Sunday. People are gathering on the mountain on Côte Placide. It's really an important area for Montrealers. 10,000, 20,000 people are gathering each Sunday on the grass around the monument. But it can also be a place to relax quietly. You can see the carriage road going up, and then in the carriage road and the gully for the water here also. Montreal is really a good place for a leisurely walk in the woodland, in the pastoral, not pastoral. This is a brook we created. You can see the carriage road. And here is the area that was put out, that was out of the park in the Royal Victoria Hospital. This area was removed from the park, but one day we hope that parking lot will be part of the park or will be a urban park, or no, not an urban park, but a place, uh, maybe a water square, because we need to make some water management in that area at the foot of the cliff, next to the cliff of the mountain. You can see here that parking lot that should go back to the park. We should be greenery with the water management. And these buildings, someday they were an hospital, but now they should be residence for students from McGill, University of Montreal, University UQAM, and Concordia University. So this would be a great asset someday if everything there is changed. Montrealers and visitors love the mountain, but too much love could be destructive if not well organized, well managed. We can see here along some area destroyed by people climbing the hill almost anywhere. This is the best way to climb using the stairway. Olmsted planted some few stairways on the mountain. This is one in one of the area where the stairway has been planned. On the top of the stairway are wonderful views of the city. But one problem with that stairway is many people are using that stairway to make exercise. And sometimes these guys and girls are quite rude with pedestrians who are trying to climb with much difficulty those 300 or 400 stairs. It's quite hard, but for people in good shape, it's an objective. It's perfect. But for ordinary people, they need to have place like the overlook to stop. This is the Cragfoot area. The area where Olmsted wanted to enlarge the park, acquiring the property of Sir Hugh Allen, Raven's Crag, Sir Hugh Allen, the richer and the most powerful in Canada. When the king or the prince was coming in Montreal, they were living in his home next to that. But here is the Give Peace a Chance Memorial, a little bit like Imagine in New York. But look at this work of art. It's really humble. It's stone carved next to some stone brut, natural stone. So it's interesting to see the contrast between what is organized and not. And also we managed for water, we made some water management. All that water was going into sewers 20 years ago, but we create many water features and cascades that are going to the next to the city. The sewer is just there. The rock of the mountain is what is appealing in that area. It's to see the rock, the water, and the vegetation. It's really in the Olmsted mine. That should be the goal. And here, my daughter, looking at the water, relaxing and looking at the water. Here is next to the glades is the blue salamander, a place where kids are playing, playground for children. This is the landscape of the glades. The glades should look like that, with little curves in the soil, and you don't see the whole area in one shot. You need to walk to see more and more and more. Uh, the idea for Olmsted of the Glades was almost like Long Meadow in Prospect Park, that kind of area. You don't see the end. You have to walk and walk and walk, and you feel free. It's the contrast between the picturesque area, the woodland with the rocks, and the pastoral area. That one is central in the mind of Olmsted. This is the area where these are the area where people are relaxing, are soothing, are refreshing their soul. It's so important to recapture that spirit. This is the Beaver Lake. Frederick G. Todd planned it. He worked for the Olmsted firm, and he made the Beaver Lake. Uh, that's a great area. People are gathering in that around there by thousand. Then 2 million people are gathering each year around that area. We can see here, this is an artificial skating rink. We can see people are enjoying that area, and also we see this is tobogganing. So horseshoe, not horseshoe, the snowshoe, toboggan, skate, and cross country skiing. The 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 the, the glades are a paradise for the winter activities. The rest of the park also. Uh, at night, it's wonderful to make cross country skiing along the carriage road. You just have the lights of the city and going down to a smooth slope, uh, under 2%, but you give an impulsion, and you go quick, and it's smooth to discover the mountain in winter. It's perfect. We can see people enjoying little slide. Here, an example of water management we made in the 1990s. It's a wall. People can sit on a wall, but it's also a dam for water management. Olmsted made construct a little bridge, and it's really useful when people are making cross country skiing. They can go under the bridge. The policemen on horse also are crossing there. I didn't have the picture of the huge lookout, but Olmsted didn't want the lookout to be so big as the one we have. He wanted a little bit smaller, and he also planned many little outlook along the what we name now Sentier de l'Escarpement place. In summer, it's paradise. When the city is with heat, under the heat, there is some fresh air, always fresh air, and a summer breeze. It's wonderful to walk there. But Olmsted wanted the carriage road not to be too far from these lookout, but he wanted the people in the carriage to get out of the carriage and walk 100, 200 feet to go to these lookouts. Here we see the top of the mountain when after the ice storm, the terrible ice storm of 1998 that destroyed so many trees and I won't talk to you about the all the work that has been done to manage the forest, but huge work has been done to manage the Montreal forest. And here is the summit of Montreal, the highest part of the mountain, the area where Olmsted wanted to have a little building where we can have an overlook everywhere. Now, actually, it's a transmission tower for the City of Montreal, but maybe in 20, 50 years, we can have that the building Olmsted wanted to have that overlook, not something conspicuous, but something just over the top of the tree to look at the landscape, to feel how big the mountain is, because we can't have nowhere on the mountain, almost nowhere on the mountain, we can feel the whole mountain. I know it because I climbed in the cross, and I saw that how the mountain is magic. But when we walk, we always see a part after another one. So I'll talk also about the ring walkway around the mountain. Here is next to the Beaver Lake, but we see these curves and the lake, and behind the ring road next to the cemetery. The fence of the cemetery has been moved further from the Côte des Neiges street to let people walk, and there are nice places to sit down around that and make interpretation of the land. It's very nice. Behind the University of Montreal, also some land have been transformed into a park, Tiohtià:ke Park. We can see here the sumac, I don't know the English name. The color, the red is sumac. It's wonderful to see the north shore of the city of Montreal, and one lookout to look at this area, and then in a part that was in a cemetery, the city has created a walkway, and we see the rocks there. It's really interesting. So the mountain is iconic for Montreal and Montrealers. We can see now the Montreal Park, the cemeteries, the University of Montreal, Université McGill, and Westmount, and the oratory behind. It's wonderful. It's you can understand why next to downtown, having that mountain higher than downtown is so interesting. So in 2002, the National Association Parks, at the time the Olmsted Network name, make a declaration on Montreal. It's really interesting. I won't read it whole bit, but it will be able. You can find it on the website of the Olmsted Network, and maybe on my PowerPoint. The same thing, talking about the restoration and rehabilitation. That declaration is really supportive for the City of Montreal describe how good job the City of Montreal has made expanding the park, maintaining the park, but still many things to improve, especially the huge parking lots and the tower and the accessibility we should improve. So the City of Montreal asked Dr. Beveridge, Charles Beveridge, to wrote a book about Montreal in the works of Frederick Olmsted. To better understand the Declaration on Montreal and to better be able to manage Montreal Park, because the text of Olmsted on Montreal is outstanding, but it lacks of details about the glades, about the water feature, about many issues. We need to see what Olmsted has made elsewhere in other parks, other of his great urban parks, to be sure to what we should do on Montreal, and that's a great report. It's also on the website of the City of Montreal and the website of the Olmsted Network. It's easier to read than Olmsted. Olmsted is quite tough because it's an old language, and often, as I said, he talked for 1 page, 2 page, 3 page about something, and then he said the opposite. Not the opposite. He said you need fresh air and exercise, but the real issue is about the power of the soul. You should touch the soul of people by the quality of the landscape poem you will be creating, you will be maintaining on Montreal. In that book, Dr. Beveridge compared Montreal to 6 other great: Olmsted Park, Prospect Park, Central Park, Prospect Park, Belle Isle, Franklin Park, Muddy and South Park in Chicago. I also talk about how the management of vegetation, how we could cut trees and planting trees, and we don't have to keep every tree. What we need is to create a powerful image for the people. So we can cut trees. Trees in itself is not that important. It's the landscape that should be magic. Hereafter, I will talk to you about 2 magic projects that are just have been finished recently. One is the marécage, the marsh. Here we can see the mountain, the park in Montreal Park here, and Westmount Summit Park there with the St. Joseph Oratory. But that whole area here is draining to the marsh. So a big project of water management, but also of landscape design. Here we can see an old structure that was there, and they create an overlook using the wall. It's really nice when you are in the over there. The way they deal with the old construction and to create an overlook next to it. Here is next to the marsh last autumn, and this morning we can see the overlook is just there, and the dam is just here. We can see the dam here that control the water. We were expecting that dam for I was expecting that dam for 20 years because if a flash flood occurs, it could have destroyed many acres down the mountain. Now this is a protection for the rest, but it's a place. It's an incredible place for biodiversity. There are ferns and many plants around there. It's almost nobody know that jewel, the diamond is there. It's incredible. This where water is coming out from the reservoir. And the other project is kiosk, 3 kiosks, 10, 20, and 30 degrees. When they were built, they seemed a little bit conspicuous, too visible, but the uh, the, the landscape architect, Louis Nguyen, made the marsh was a WAA plus, make a wonderful job, awesome job. And here the landscape, the architects made an awesome job, but the landscape architect fit the building into a design, exquisite design. We can see these buildings, but the pathways are very interesting. We see ferns, and there is a marsh next to the building to there. It's really interesting. And finally, I get to the crunch, the accessibility. In the 1950s, the authorities decided that the automobile was the way to access to the mountain. So they were they create two big interchange, Park Pine and Remembrance Côte des Neiges, but they were also planning a third one on Montreal and Park, and the Olmsted Carriage Road would have become a highway, and Camillien Road on the other side also would have been a highway, and they would have been linked all together and having huge parking lots. We can see the overpass, the Park Pine highway. To go from that point to that point, people had to walk, make a tour, incredible zigzag for 15 or 20 minutes to just cross the street. Here is the what it looks like now. It's a little bit oversized. It should be more greenery, less asphalt someday, but it's easier to change than it was at that time. The big job has been done. And this area, the place recaptured. There was an event for the climate, a march for the climate. We were almost 500,000 people gathering in that area to walk. So you understand why the grass is important. You can't put 500,000 people in the middle of the wood. Here is the other transformation, the other interchange that is being torn down. This is Remembrance Road. This lane was created by, like the other, created by Clark and Rapuano, but it has been transformed to make it accessible for pedestrian. And this is the corner where the Remembrance Road intersect with Côte des Neiges. Another project going on is to link. This one is really interesting because we asked for that for years. It's to link the parking lots of the General Hospital with the features of Beaver Lake and Smith House. So creating that access, people will be able to park their car there and walk in the park, uh, having some information along the street to say you should park there instead of it in the middle of the park. It's a prerequisite, un prérequis to make the big job in the glades. As we'll see here, the glades, as I said, are in the in between l'entremonde, in between area, and this area is key one because it's the link between the Beaver Lake area that has been restored, quite mostly restored, but this area is still anarchic. It's crazy. It's the heritage of the 50s, and we need to transform that area also. So this, and here we see Olmsted wanted people to walk to the mountain, to walking here. There is the Brackenfell. They are on the looking to the city, and at that point, the landscape transformed from you're in the city and now you're in the mountain, in the mountain, in the glades. So this area is Beaver Lake. Beaver Lake is not exactly the same that as Olmsted wanted. That's been done by Frederick Todd. The lake is a little bit larger, but the idea was the horses or the people are going down next to the lake, make a meander, and then coming back again to climb to the upper fell. But they would be able to relax instead of climbing all the time. So that area is the area where are the parking lots. So it's crucial in the design of how to recapture the spirit of the glades. Here we see that chunk of land that it's a disruptive in the perception of the mountain. We can see from the upper fell, the limit of the upper fell, we see the parking lot. But in winter, we can see how interesting it could become. Unhappily, years ago, 2 decades or 3 decades ago, they planted ashes tree to hide the parking lots, but maybe we can let the trees die, the ashes tree die, and recapture the glades and create nice landscape like Olmsted wanted to create. And finally, the crunch of the crunch, the Camillien Wood Street. There was a consultation in 2017, and people said to the City of Montreal, we want to have access to the mountain through that area. You should know that that area was created for a tramway. Initially, some land, that land here had been acquired, and there, all that have been acquired to create the tramway line up to the core of the mount, to the glades. So at the end of the 50s, the tramway has been pushed out, and a road for cars has been built. But now we need to have another vision of that area. There was a huge consultation process, but the City of Montreal didn't follow exactly what the citizen asked. So I wrote a letter in the Gazette called Our beloved mountain deserve better. The Olmsted Network sent a letter saying you should look at Olmsted. Olmsted asked people to go slowly from the foothill of the mountain up to the summit, slowly. But the racing bicycle are very fast. So often these bicycles are faster than cars. And when they hit, it can be brutal. So every analysis and proposition about the glades, the parking in the Smith House, altogether with Camillien Wood, should be maybe made public and discussed by the population of Montreal. I made that statement, but we have a new administration, and it's that area is like a hot potato, and we need to have a fresh view about that area, not to put more city on the mountain, but more mountain in the city. It's quite different. The theme of the park of the City of Montreal is creating those wonderful design with very that made the rocks, the water features, very interesting water features and rock features. But we need more of that vision. Maybe we should work with experts from elsewhere to make a task, a really large task to discuss about that. So the conclusion of the conclusion, 40 years, Les Amis has been created. They are advocating for the best of the city, the mountain. They are working to educate people, to make people enjoy the mountain. A little, not like Central Park Conservancy, not as powerful as Central Park Conservancy, because the city is making a large part of the work. But altogether, the city and Les Amis could achieve great things. When I was working with the city, we were presenting to Les Amis and the citizen our projects and having the feedback continuously to make people understand what we are wanted, we wanted. Now I discovered a few weeks ago these two projects I talked to you about, and I was flabbergasted that it wasn't a highlight by the City of Montreal to show how great that job has been done. We should be very proud. And the visit with Sue Berkoff and Lauren Meyer and his husband has been very clear. Make it clear in our mind that Montreal has made a great job. So the Olmsted Network create a declaration to honor les Amis de la Montagne and the City of Montreal for the work done on the mountain. This picture was taken at the March for the climate change. We're next to the great monument. It says, "Together we can move mountains." And it's true. Citizen and the City of Montreal and everyone can work together to make our mountain better, not better. So we see here the mountain and the downtown. It's a wonderful area, and you should enjoy. And this view from the St. Helens Island, where Expo 67 was held, the old Montreal in front, and then the mountain. This is iconic of Montreal. What the essence of Montreal, the remnants of Expo 67, with all these nations and everything. The old Montreal well preserved, the mountain well preserved. It's fantastic. So I would conclude with something written by Witold Rybczynski, uh, a teacher and an écrivain. Uh, like most people, I took the landscape of the mountain for granted. I thought that it was simply a nature preserve. Here was the most significant man-made object in Montreal, arguably the city's most important cultural artifact, and I thought of it as natural. How wrong I was. So Montreal is really a work of art, and we should do everything to keep the spirit of that work, that awesome work of art. And yeah, uh, that's the end. I hope you enjoyed and you have remarks and questions about that.
Thank you so much, Danielle. That was fantastic. We're running a little bit over time, but I do want to address at least one question. We've had two so far, one about management, which I think you ended up addressing in your conclusion. And then here's a fun one. Are there deer in the park? What kind of wildlife do you have in the park?
Um, Urban wildlife, but the city is managing the natural area in order to enhance the. We look at the birds and animals that are indicators of the quality of the natural area. And water management we are doing is helping a lot to help these animals. I can't describe not big mammals. It's not like the Grand Morne in
No
Newfoundland,
bears.
but it's an urban park. But
Mm.
as an urban park, it's really interesting, especially for the birds. When there are migration, 100 species of birds are coming on the mountain. The Montreal Park, it's not that easy to where to see birds. It's easier to see the birds in the Westmount Summit because the trees are more open, so you can see the birds easily. In Montreal Park, often you can hear the birds, but
Mhm.
seeing the birds is not that easy.
Okay, okay. Well,
There
thank
are some salamanders. We don't have
you.
Todd, the frogs, but maybe someday we can reintroduce frogs, especially with the what has been done in the marsh. Maybe in few years we could have the conditions to reintroduce some species.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us and on your birthday of all days. This was fabulous and will be available on our YouTube channel for anybody who missed it. So thank you again. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
All right.